We're back at the Founder again, and today I have two lovely people with me right now. It's Hashan and Dhanushi from Tuk Tuk Hostels. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Okay, awesome. And how has your morning been?
It's been a long morning for me.
Okay.
It's been
A little rough for him, but I'm okay.
You're okay.
I'm alright.
Okay. So tell me about the place, okay? Tuk Tuk Hostels, very interesting. I saw the Instagram page, very colorful as well. Tell me how it all began.
So actually how we started was initially, Hashan was actually renting the house from me for his
Okay.
business. And then he decided to shift, and then I've known him for a long time, we've been friends outside of the business. And he came up to me and said, you know what, the house is there, it's got a decent design, why not we get together and partner on something? So I said, okay, fine. Of course, I ran to my mom first thing, and I'm like, Hashan wants to do this. She's like, yeah, why don't you all go for it, try something. And then we decided, because he avid traveler, and just the year before I had traveled a bit and been hostel hopping around Europe, so we were like, okay, why not go for a backpackers hostel? So we were like, okay, sat down. The first thing we got most excited about was the name.
Okay.
So we sat and we started going through all sorts of names, and then initially I think we came up with something to do with a garage, and
Yeah.
then we were trying to think of what really sticks to Sri Lanka, what people would
Okay.
think of when they thought of Sri Lanka, and then also something that's really easy to pronounce. We didn't want people to mistake the name
Yeah.
and possibly go somewhere else. So we thought, tuk tuk,
Tuk tuk,
because
yeah.
nobody calls it a trishaw in Colombo. It's always, oh, I'm going to catch a tuk tuk. We're going to take a tuk tuk. So we're like, we're going to stick to tuk tuk hostels, and then we just started work, got the designs done, and started moving from there.
Yeah, and like you said, you've been traveling around in Europe, and that's basically how you got the inspiration, you would say, or?
The inspiration for the design,
Okay.
that's where I kind of chipped in with whatever I knew. But the actual inspiration for the business, I think, mostly came from Hashan, because I think he travels a lot more than I do.
Okay.
So that was mostly his. And then for me, I was happy to help in with the design and stuff of it, because I'd just been to a few very different places, I would say. One was, they varied quite a bit from each other. So, but the actual business concept was, I think, Hashan's to begin with.
Okay, that's awesome. Now, for a startup business, everyone has their own ideas. So, how would you say that you put your ideas to practice? In what way?
So for us, I think when it came to Tuk Tuk, it was a collaboration of ideas. The two of us, and then plus, of course, my mom had a lot of input, which we were happy to have. So I think it was always a case of trial and error. We thought, what's the worst that could happen? So when it came to whether it was design, pricing, even the logo, not hundreds of like different options, but then we would always try things out. He would have ideas, I would have ideas, and most of that came into play ended up being like an amalgamation of what we both wanted to do.
Okay.
But yeah, trial and error, I guess. We just thought, we have to go with it.
Okay.
And then see
Yeah.
what happens at the end.
Yeah, good. And obviously, there are challenges when it comes to having a new business. What is the hardest or the toughest challenge that you faced up to this date?
With Tuk Tuk, at the beginning, it was a lot of the paperwork and the approvals, and going from place to place to place to get things done. And then I think the second I would have to say up to date would be the labor when we were getting started, and then thereafter the staff.
Okay.
Because to be honest, we wanted to keep our costs very low, so that we can give more opportunities for the guests to have a lower cost stay.
Yeah.
So we wanted to have minimum staff
Okay.
at the hostel. So we needed to get really trustworthy people, like 1 or 2 people who we can really trust to take care of the place, and be loyal. And it was tough, but I think we've got lucky. But definitely the labor and the people was a challenge. But I think we're doing okay though. We
Yeah.
got through that pretty decently.
And what has been the hardest decision you've ever made?
The hardest decision was probably, I wouldn't say there was anything that was like really, that would have really affected the business, but a few things like, during the past couple of weeks, how do we handle the serious like drop in business, and then, do we close up, do we shut down for a little while and start again, or do we keep running, are we willing to take the risk? I think that was one of the hardest decisions we had to go through, of whether it was correct to keep the business going, or whether we should take a break, give time for people to settle down, and then kind of start up again.
And was financing a challenge for you? Was it easy for you? And were the banks any helpful in any way?
To be honest, me and Hashan were fortunate enough to not have to depend on the banks to finance the project.
Okay.
We set ourselves a budget before we started, and we decided we are going to do everything within that budget, because
okay.
that's what the two of us could afford.
Okay.
So we didn't have to go for an option of a loan or anything. But when it came up to setting up the accounts and stuff, the banks were really helpful,
Okay.
which I think was good. But yeah, like I said, fortunate enough to be able to fund it on our own.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask this question from both of you because I believe everyone has their own opinion and different answers to it. Since the show is called The Founder, if you ever had the opportunity to sit at dinner or brunch for, just for a couple of hours, get to know someone who is also a founder, who would it be?
I think I would definitely want to meet Walt Disney.
Okay.
Because just the fact that he took his love for just scribbling on a paper and has made an absolute empire out of it, I think it's great. Just from making drawings for his neighbor to now, I think probably one of, I don't know, pulls every kid's heartstrings. So I think that would be really fun, and I feel like he would have an amazing sense of humor.
We're moving over to Hashan. I want to ask you the same question I asked Dhanushi. If you ever had the opportunity to sit for dinner with the founder, who would it be?
It'll probably be the founders of Tesla.
Okay.
So maybe I can get a few inputs on what the future would be like. So,
Yeah.
so that maybe we can innovate further.
Yeah. So maybe you guys can go on a double date with Walt Disney. Wow, what a dinner would it be? So another thing is, let's talk to you about how your company started. Obviously, there would have been challenges, many challenges, and one of the things that a lot of people do is fail in the beginning. So
Yeah.
did you have to fail to succeed?
In this business, probably not yet.
Okay.
But I think failing is one of the key factors in reaching success, because if you don't fail, you don't learn. Every time you succeed, you're not learning.
Yeah.
So the more you fail, I believe you're better equipped to face success in the
Yeah.
future.
And what would be your definition of success?
Success to me, I think, is it goes with happiness. So if you're happy in what you're doing, I think that's success in short.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to always be a lot of money or a lot of wealth. While that is good, I think as long as you're happy, because you see a lot of rich people, but
Yeah.
but who are not very happy.
Yeah.
So if you're happy, I think that's successful.
Okay. Now, if not for Tuk Tuk Hostels, if there was another company or a brand that you admired, what kind of a company or a brand would like to take over? It could be local, it could be international.
I'd probably want to take over Samsung,
Samsung. Okay.
so that I can give Apple a chance,
Okay.
because I'm Apple supporter.
Okay.
So that I can lower the sales and help Apple take over.
Okay, cool. Smart answer. And obviously, if it wasn't for Dhanushi, building up the company with her, if there was any other thing that you had to do, like another hobby instead of having a business, what would it have been if it wasn't for Tuk Tuk Hostels?
Well, we have multiple businesses and all of that we do. But if not for any of that, I'd probably want to be chilling on a beach somewhere.
Nice. And get paid for it, maybe?
Oh yes, yeah.
That's crazy because there are jobs like that out there. Crazy.
Yeah, plenty.
But we're pretty happy with Tuk Tuk Hostels, aren't
Yeah.
we? Yeah. Okay, so this question is actually from our venue sponsor, Colombo Cooperative, providing modern workspaces and creative spaces for companies of all sizes. We would like to know, how was your first workspace like?
My first workspace was at home.
Okay.
So it was in my room. I had a small desk where I would sit and plot the next plan and try and see what I can do.
Yeah.
After which I moved to Dhanushi's place, where we started Tuk Tuk Hostels after that.
Okay.
But the shared co-workspaces such as this is I think the way forward, because it gives opportunity to everyone to work in a business-like environment with all the facilities. So Yeah. So I think many startups start very small, probably at home, and then it moves on.
Yeah. Little did they know that there were, I mean, at this day and age, like now we have spaces like this,
Yeah.
which is so convenient, right? So people probably consider lucky now.
Very much so.
One more question before we wrap things up. I want to know, like, obviously there's a lot happening out here in the world today, especially here in Sri Lanka. A lot of local talent, a lot of people wanting to start their own business. What piece of advice would you say or would you give them to help them, you know, build their own thing?
What I would say is don't spend a lot of time planning.
Okay.
While planning is very important, it's also important to start. I think even both of us, we were planning, you know, what should we do, you know, the various aspects. But like Dhanushi said, her mom, you know, just wanted us to start immediately. So that helped us a lot because then on the way, along the journey, you learn more things and you're able to fix them while you go.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you spend a lot of time planning and it never materializes. So, and then you get, the ideas are lost.
Yeah.
So I think it's better to start whatever you have in your mind and then see how it goes.
Very wise piece of advice. So thank you so much, Hashan and
Thank you.
Dhanushi, for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Likewise.
and good luck. Good luck with everything. And yeah, wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
So that was Hashan and Dhanushi for Tuk Tuk Hostels. Check them out.